Welcome to Women at Halftime podcast, but not just for women, for you men too. If you're at mid-career or the halftime of life, our inspirational topics are not only fun, but also meant to help you maximize and write your next chapter. Right here with me, Deborah Johnson. Well, hello, Deborah Johnson here today for this podcast with a message, Finding Beauty in Chaos. And I started thinking about this subject because of a magazine I was reading, and it was a very artistic type of magazine, but it was talking about the beauty that we can find in chaos with nature and with photography and also with just writing. So it started me thinking about the subject, and I thought it would be a good one for us to approach today. Because it's a very interesting subject as I started taking a deeper dive into it. So I hope that you enjoy this topic today as we do discuss beauty in chaos. Well, when in the middle of a chaotic situation, I don't automatically see the beauty in chaos. And the word chaos comes from the Greek word khaos, K-H-O-S, meaning chasm or void. So I picture this big black hole. And chaos can take the form of uncertainty, messiness, or even a lack of understanding. But if I look deeper into many acts of nature and examples of craftsmanship, I can see that beauty in chaos is possible. And it's probable as we change the variables that we can control. We can also learn from the laws of nature that are already in place. We can personally use the principles we find there for inspiration to change and grow. And here we will look at three areas of beauty in chaos: art, nature, and personal. So we'll begin with art and chaos. Michelangelo, born in Florence in 1475, he died in Rome in 1564, and he used the painting process known as fresco, the Italian word for fresh. It's the art of painting hand-ground natural earth pigments into a freshly made wet plaster surface. Now, this process, when done well, can last thousands of years, but it looks chaotic and rough at its base. But the entire ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, painted by Michelangelo from 1508 to 1512, is crafted in the fresco style. And the first layer is of arecho, a rough, scratched surface. And then marron, made of soil and crushed stone. And finally, let's see if I can say this right, intonaco, a delicate, fine white layer, which forms the actual painting surface. Michelangelo often painted scenes picturing conflict and chaos. Biblical themes were a prime subject of chaos, from creation to a flood, to Jonah and the whale, to judgment. Over 6 million visitors a year come to see the beauty in chaos that Michelangelo created through his painting. For an expert potter, if you put an unformed gray lump of clay on a potter's wheel, some hours and a few hot firings will most likely produce a beautiful work of art. And the outcome of that lump of clay for the unskilled would most likely be different. Misshaped bowls or cups with uneven surfaces and cracked sides, they may bring enjoyment to the hobby creator, but bring little use or beauty. we were to see those in a shop, we wouldn't normally buy those. So to create beauty in chaos out of a lump of clay takes added skill and experience. I like this illustration of music. Even music demonstrates great beauty in chaos with the principle of dissonance and resolution. Classical composers often used dissonance in their compositions to create a more satisfying sense of ending a phrase or a cadence. You just relax at the end. Bach, Beethoven, and some of the Romantic period contemporaries, they used more simple dissonance, but it was still there. And with the rise of Impressionism between 1867 and 1886, composers expanded their harmonic possibilities with more experimentation, creating beautiful compositions. Painters also started using heavier blobs of paint with those brush strokes and a palette knife that looked chaotic when you're at close range, but they're beautiful at a distance. I love the Impressionistic paintings and the Impressionistic music. Let's move on to nature and chaos. Pearls come in a wide range of colors. Many leading ladies were famous for wearing pearls, such as Jackie Kennedy, Audrey Hepburn, Grace Kelly, and even Coco Chanel. The beautiful pearls that we see, mostly in pieces of jewelry, they were crafted out of chaos, similar to the aggravation we feel when getting a piece of grit in our eye, the friction an oyster feels when a wayward food particle becomes trapped. It starts those layers of aragonite and let's see if I can say this one, conchiolin, I think that's how we say it. Look at the article for the spelling. But it was able to build a shell-like substance. Between the layers is a very thin substance called nacre, that was easier to pronounce, or mother of pearl. Mother of pearl is shiny, multicolored, and beautiful, and we can see this inside an oyster shell. And the end product of this chaos for that oyster is a pearl. When we look at the result of a volcanic eruption, the black sand beaches that are uniquely beautiful in areas like Hawaii and Iceland, as well as other places, is a wonderful example of beauty in chaos. Fiery lava looking to destroy everything in its past, it's now been worn down to create spectacular beachside resorts with some of those black beaches, even green beaches. Lava also provides options in landscaping. Lava rock is lightweight, and because of air pockets, it allows for drainage. And it can also be used to prevent soil erosion. Some have even used lava stone for metaphysical benefits. You can go into any one of those shops and find something that has lava on it. Surfers find great beauty in the chaos of huge waves as they seek to find greater pinnacles of difficulty and excitement in riding them ashore. A butterfly struggles to escape a cocoon through the process of metamorphosis, and the fight for the butterfly to emerge is chaotic and difficult, but it cannot live without struggling through that chaos. Well, let's move on to 3, people and chaos. I like this one. Relationships often experience chaos in a number of ways. Disagreements, pressure, and health issues create change in situations that are chaotic. They're messy and they're uncomfortable. Resolution may or may not come, and many chaotic situations end with severed relationships, mental anguish, and decreased quality of life. However, chaos can also bring great growth if we let it. Chaos lets us know where we need to focus our attention and even rid ourselves of what is hindering us. And this principle is especially relevant at mid-career and the halftime of life. It's a time of change and taking a step back to evaluate the next steps. Now, we might feel like we are on that potter's wheel as that lump of clay, a bit misshapen and cracked. Or maybe we're feeling like the butterfly, struggling to emerge anew, but not knowing where our wings will eventually carry us. All of those are questions many of us have or even feeling. Simplifying our lives and focusing on the basic core essentials to begin, it removes some of that chaos as we regroup and plan for the next decades of our lives. And I'm saying decades because lifespans are longer these days, statistically. And this process brings a greater sense of calm with satisfaction and productivity. So let's talk about a couple principles here to leave you with the principles for creating beauty in chaos. Well, number one, focus on what we can control. There are many things that we can control, such as our diet, schedule, and even finances. And the results can bring better health and quality of life. And don't spend too much time worrying about what we can't control. It's really not worth it. And number two, create good lists. I say this often. A good list can potentially remove stress from our lives. It really can. Let the list carry the pressure of the tasks for the day, for the week, and even the month. And whatever isn't done, it'll just be carried over. It's going to be there. It's like dirty dishes. It'll be there in the morning. The important principle is just not to worry about what's on the list. It'll be there when you get back to it. And number three, I really believe in this one. Define our core values. And core values are at the center of a strong and a successful purpose. And they are what propel us forward and out of an endless roundabout. That's what my book coming out is all about, getting out of those endless roundabouts. Strong core values and purpose. So hopefully you've taken some of the examples here to heart, and I encourage you really to take a good look all around you, as you'll be able to see more and more examples of beauty in chaos, especially in nature, art, and even in yourself. And in the article that comes with this, every single podcast of our main podcast, I've been putting out some bonus ones now, but our main podcast, I write an article with them. And so you can see some of the references. I will give you extra sources in these articles, extra articles to look up that'll help you in your journey. And this was a fun one for me to write because we're talking about the art, talking about the music, and we will be in Italy this summer and thinking about Michelangelo was wonderful. You know, and we've been to Hawaii seeing a lot of the pearls, and there are other places that bring a lot more pearls than Hawaii does, of course, but it was just fun seeing all the different colors, and I'm very familiar with mother of pearl because my mother did so much work with porcelain and with ceramics. Very familiar with the beauty of that mother of pearl and how that beauty can come out of such chaotic being of an oyster. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been encouraging for you and that you will take some of those principles to heart, look at the article, And make sure you're on our newsletter, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter, that you get the articles every single week. I also put out a lot of music scores these days and videos. So you just don't want to miss that. A lot of free material as well as other programs I have going on. I've had my newsletter going on for over 20 years. I've quit counting how many years. And it's just a great resource for many, and that I've enjoyed it for so many years. And I appreciate all those who support it so well. And you can always look at other things for me. Of course, I do a certain number of speaking events, DeborahJohnsonSpeaker.com and DJWorksMusic.com. And the new book, Stop Circling. Make sure that you look for any other information about that. It's coming out as this podcast is released. It's really close to our release date for our pre-orders. So make sure that you take advantage of that. It's a great book. Also includes the workbook right in it. So an extra value. So make sure that you take advantage of that. And thanks again for joining me today. It's always a privilege, always a pleasure to be able to bring you these weekly episodes and now some bonus ones as well. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll look forward to being with you again next time. So bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show, and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.